I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. I lived there till I was 18, I think. I spent a year going to Virginia, then I came back and got my degree ultimately in Raleigh before leaving for New York City for grad school. So I was mostly in one place, but from grad school on, I moved around a lot, right? I think that living in New York City is very culturally diverse, obviously. So I think it really breaks you out of that singular environment that you grew up and were raised in, right? It's a higher level of energy. It's a more of a mix and et cetera, et cetera. And I think maybe that got me ready for the next steps. Since that point, I moved around a lot. So at the time, my now wife and I, we were dating and then living together in New York City. We moved down to Florida because she got into med school. So we spent 2 years in Tallahassee. Then we moved to Orlando for 2 years. We lived in Hawaii for a year after that, then back to New York City before coming down to Atlanta, where we are now. So we did move around quite a bit. And for me, I enjoyed all of them for very different reasons, right? I love the New York City fast-paced life. I liked the Hawaii, barefoot and climbing mountains and surfing in the afternoons. And I like the Atlanta or Raleigh, the typical kind of suburbia life where you've got a house and a car and, in a neighborhood. So I think all of it appeals to me. So I got along with the culture, kind of just fine. I enjoy different aspects of each. As far as managing operations in multiple places, as I mentioned, I think one of my goals from the beginning was to build that scalable system. And so when I opened that first store, I was looking for the employee that could run the day-to-day. I was looking for the manager that could run the technicians. I built, with the help of developers, we built our own in-house ERP system, point of sale system, ticket management system, whatever you want to call it. That allowed us to, track all the jobs we had, accept payment, take in our marketing forms and respond to them. So we kind of built and in-house those systems. We eventually put security cameras up that you can access online. And so I think from the beginning, my mindset was building this, for scale, right? Whether or not I eventually franchise it, building it for scale and operations. So that allowed me to kind of go to different states, install a manager or a regional manager that I had worked with directly, that I had faith in, right? I think that when I was originally one store in Tallahassee, we had 4 or 5 employees that I worked directly with on a day-to-day basis when I was still fixing things, and built great relationships. And then when we opened up multiple stores, those were the employees that went to different areas. One of the managers moved to Raleigh to open the Raleigh branch. One of them came to Orlando with me and then down to Davie, Florida to run those branches. And so we kind of just built out. We used a system of checks and balances to keep an eye on the cash that was at the store, to, keep an eye on, make sure nothing was stolen, make sure things were getting repaired. We used online reports and metrics to track productivity. I would say it's the same types of controls that a Domino's would put in place, just at a much smaller scale. We obviously were, a handful of shops. We didn't have the everything that Domino's has, but it's similar types of things that, we were trying to do to keep my finger on the pulse, to figure out what marketing was working and what wasn't, et cetera.